Hello and welcome. Today let's talk about Bill English. Please leave your like, share and subscription to our channel for more Wiki videos. Simon William Bill English, born the 30th of December 1961, is the Prime Minister of New Zealand and leader of the National Party, having taken office on the 12th of December 2016. He was previously Deputy Prime Minister from 2008 to 2016, a farmer and public servant before entering politics. English was elected to Parliament in 1990 as the National Party's candidate in the Wallace electorate. He was elevated to cabinet in 1996 and in 1999 was made Minister of Finance. Although he served for less than a year due to his party's loss at the 1999 general election. In October 2001, English replaced Jenny Shipley as the leader of the National Party, and consequently as leader of the opposition. The party lost the 2002 general election, and in October 2003 he was replaced as leader by Don Brash. In November 2006, after Don Brash's resignation, English became deputy leader under John Key. After National's victory at the 2008 general election, English became Deputy Prime Minister and was also made Minister for Finance for a second time. He became a list-only MP after retiring as an electorate MP at the 2014 general election. In December 2016, John Key announced his intention to resign as Prime Minister. He endorsed English as his replacement, and English won the resulting leadership election unopposed. Early life. English is the second youngest of 12 children of Mervyn and Nora English. His parents owned Rosedale, a mixed sheep and cropping farm in Dipton, Southland. English was born in the nearby town of Lumsden. He attended St. Thomas's School in Winton, then boarded at St. Patrick's College in Upper Hutt, where he became head boy. He played in the first 15 of the school's rugby team. English went on to study commerce at the University of Otago, where he was a resident at Selwyn College, and then completed an honours degree in English literature at Victoria University of Wellington. After finishing his studies, English returned to Dipton and farmed for a few years. From 1987 to 1989, he worked in Wellington as a policy analyst for the New Zealand Treasury, at a time when the free market policies favoured by Labour's Finance Minister Roger Douglas, known collectively as Rogernomics, were being implemented. Early political career. English joined the National Party in 1980, while at Victoria University. He served for a period as chairman of the Southland branch of the Young Nationals, and became a member of the Wallace Electorate Committee. After moving to Wellington, he served for periods on the Island Bay and Miramar Electorate Committees, respectively. At the 1990 general election, English stood as the national candidate in Wallace, replacing the retiring Derek Angus, and was elected with a large majority. He and three other newly elected national MPs, Tony Rial, Nick Smith, and Roger Sowry, were soon identified as rising stars in New Zealand politics, and at various points were dubbed the Brat Pack, the Gang of Four, and the Young Turks. In his first term in Parliament, English chaired a select committee into social services. He was made a parliamentary Under-Secretary in 1993, serving under the Minister of Health. First period in Cabinet 1996 to 1999. In early 1996, English was elevated to Cabinet by Prime Minister Jim Bolger, becoming the Minister for Crown Health Enterprises and Associate Minister of Education to Wyatt Creech. He was 34 at the time, becoming the Cabinet's youngest member. After the 1996 general election, the National Party was forced into a coalition with New Zealand First in order to retain government. In the resulting cabinet reshuffle, English emerged as Minister of Health. However, as a condition of the coalition agreement, NZ First's Neil Curtin, a first-term MP, was made Associate Minister of Health, effectively becoming English's deputy. This arrangement was described in the press as a shotgun marriage, and there were frequent differences of opinion between the two ministers. After their relationship became unworkable, Curtin was sacked from the role in August 1997, with the agreement of NZ First Leader Winston Peters. As Minister of Health, English was responsible for continuing the reforms to the public health system that National had begun after the 1990 general election. The reforms were unpopular, and health was perceived as one of the government's weaknesses, with the health portfolio consequently being viewed as a challenge. English believed that the unpopularity of the reforms was in part due to a failure in messaging, and encouraged his national colleagues to avoid bureaucratic and money-focused language such as references to balance sheets and user charges, and instead talk about the improvements to services the government's reforms would bring. He also rejected the idea that public hospitals could be run as commercial enterprises, a view which some of his colleagues had previously promoted. By early 1997, as dissatisfaction with Bolger's leadership began to grow, English was being touted as a potential successor, along with Jenny Shipley and Doug Graham. His age 35 was viewed as the main impediment to a successful leadership run. National's leadership troubles were resolved in December 1997, when Bolger resigned and Shipley was elected to the leadership unopposed. English had been a supporter of Bolger as leader, but Shipley reappointed him Minister of Health in her new cabinet. He was promoted to Minister of Finance in a reshuffle in January 1999, a position which was at the time subordinate to the Treasurer, Bill Birch. After a few months, the pair switched positions as part of Birch's transition to retirement, with English assuming the senior portfolio. In early interviews, he emphasized his wish to be seen as a pragmatist rather than an ideologue, and said that the initiatives of some of his predecessors, Roger Douglas's Rogernomics and Ruth Richardson's Ruthanasia, had focused on fruitless theoretical debates when people just want to see problems solved. Controversies. Leaked tapes. 2 tapes were covertly made of conversations with English at the National Party conference in August 2008, and subsequently leaked by Keith Kaiser to the media. The first indicated that English would like to eventually sell Kiwi Bank. The second, released to the media on the 4th of November 2008, just before the New Zealand election, gave English his views on Barack Obama. He is heard on the tape saying, "I'm a bit worried about this whole Obama and Europe thing. Just because there's a limited effectiveness in being moralistic about international relations, and Europe has turned out to be particularly ineffective even in its own backyard. And the US can argue, overdo it, sick, and Bush should have put a different window dressing. There still needs someone willing to pull the trigger. Living allowances." In 2009, the media, including TVNZ and TV3, revealed that English was receiving about $900 a week as part of a living allowance for ministers, to live in his own $1.2 million Wellington home. At the time, English also received $276,200 in his annual salary as Deputy Prime Minister. It was also revealed other ministers with homes in the capital city were also claiming accommodation allowances. On Monday, the 3rd of August 2009, Prime Minister John Key announced a review of the housing allowances claimed by cabinet ministers. English subsequently announced he would pay back $12,000 and only claim about $24,000 a year in living allowances. The Auditor General's office said in September 2009 that they were making preliminary inquiries into parliamentary housing expenses in response to a letter of complaint from Progressive Party leader Jim Anderton. 2 days later, English announced that he would no longer take any housing allowance and had paid back all the allowance he had received since the November 2008 election. Personal life. English met his future wife, Mary Scanlon, at university. She was studying medicine at the time, and became a general practitioner. Both her parents were immigrants, her father being Samoan and her mother Italian, born on the island of Stromboli. They have 6 children. English is a practicing Roman Catholic. but has stated that he considers his religious beliefs personal and thus separate from politics. In June 2002, English took part in TV3's Fight for Life, a celebrity boxing fundraiser to raise money for the Yellow Ribbon anti-youth suicide campaign, influenced by the death of a teenage nephew in 1997. He lost a split decision to former university colleague Ted Clark. If you liked it, please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the sign up button below.